Alright, well, I finished my scripted video that I'm going to upload probably later today, because this is the only day that I have off, and just going to bang them all out. I guess after I come back from the gym, which is where I'm suiting up to go to right now. Well, after I'm done this and eating and all that stuff. This is the second video that I'm going to use the wisdom of Thugtician in another one of his classics, because again of something I thought about in that book. Well, after having reviewed that book, Black Man's Guide Out of Poverty. Now I realized that as far as poverty goes, that book is talking about, or at least it had better only be talking about economic poverty. So in that case, this is not a slight against that book. It's not a it's not to diminish the message of that book, all the positive, constructive messages of that book. But do realize it's economic, monetary poverty we're talking about here. As far as other forms and fashions of poverty, social, socio-political, whatever the hell, socio dash fill in the blank, except for economic or monetary. That's beyond the scope of that book. But what I will say is this. Actually, no, I won't say anything more. Let me just play this thing, and I'm going to go get ready, and you all can enjoy.
So why is there so much black man on black man blaming? I believe it's done out of powerlessness. The only safe target in the society is black men. Black men are safe on two levels. Firstly, black men are a high visibility underachieving group whom everybody, including a certain type of black man, feels they can look down on for one reason or another. If you're looking for someone to compare yourself to and come out looking like a success, then the underachieving black man serves as a handy crutch. What do I mean by that? Well, let's take the self-titled, self-exalting good black man. He only compares himself to black men whom he believes are failing on some level. But the patheticness of it runs deeper than that, because the definition of good man doesn't even come from themselves. It's a set of woman-conceived preferences that the self-titled, self-exalting good black man claims to own because he thinks it'll attract women. When it doesn't, he whines, bitches, and backbites at women for choosing the wrong man. And the wrong man is any man who doesn't appear to conform to the preferences that women express. Why does the self-titled, self-exalting good black man only compare himself to underachieving black men? Why doesn't he compare himself to high-achieving men? Because he himself is an underachiever. His petty obsession over who women choose tells you that this is a man who is nothing and has nothing. Otherwise, he would concern himself with something of greater consequence. Why doesn't the self-titled, self-exalting good black man compare himself to underachieving non-black men? Because their brethren wouldn't tolerate it. They would rain fire on these sackless Uncle Toms. Hence, the only safe target is an underachieving black man, because no one is going to fire back on his behalf. These kinds of males make me ashamed to be a black man. I can't stand them. They are the epitome of castrated manhood. Only among black men is it okay to dog your own brothers. White men don't do this to white men. Asian men don't do this to Asian men. Jewish men don't do it to Jewish men. But black men do it to each other because we are powerless to do it to anyone else. This is why these clowns have such a heavy emotional investment in the thug myth. It's the only thing that saves them from being a nigger, just as whiteness saves underachieving whites from niggerhood. And it's the same thing with black women who brag about their phony affirmative action, education, and jobs, which in their deluded minds make them too big for something as lowly as a black man. Hock and spit. So there's a bunch of people who depend on that thug myth for their self-esteem, because without thug, they would be the bottom of the pile trash. Rather than look up at the top and ask ourselves why we have to look up instead of across, we look downwards and delude ourselves that we are better morally and better off materially than the black man we see beneath us, when in truth all we're seeing is ourselves on a very bad day. It never occurs to any thug blamer, be they black male or black female, that comparing yourself to an underachiever only shows just how closely you resemble them. That's why I don't engage in thug blaming, because for me we are all in the same boat. There is no qualitative difference between any two black men living in Western society. Among black men, there are no princes and paupers, because every black man is equal to every other black man in our mutual powerlessness. Look at the furore of Tiger Woods getting a little extramarital pussy in. People are talking as if the man went on a serial killing rampage, rather than just a serial fucking binge, which is what every man in the world would do in the same position. When you've got $1 billion, you're supposed to be able to fuck who you want when you want, just like every other billionaire in the world is doing as we speak. But if you're a black billionaire, you're only allowed to fuck the same tired old bitch for the rest of your natural life, or at least until she's put in enough years for a judge to dismantle your fortune and split it 3 ways between your ex-wife, your lawyers, and the state. Tiger Woods should be able to call a press conference to put his side of the story. His statement should go something like this. In light of the controversy surrounding the revelations about my private life, I've decided to end my marriage for the following reasons. To escape the boredom of domestic routine, to escape the pressure to perform both in and out of the bedroom, and to reject my wife's objectification of me as a success object. I'm taking all the money I earned with no help from anyone but my father to go on a voyage of self-discovery. Furthermore, I will be prosecuting my soon-to-be ex-wife to the fullest extent of the law on assault and criminal damage charges for attacking me and destroying my car with a golf club. I know that she may have felt provoked on learning of my infidelity, but no one has the right to put their hands on anyone, no matter what the provocation. I've also submitted a complaint to the local police department regarding the inappropriate questioning I was subject to by police officers attending the scene of the accident. I felt victimized a second time by the racial profiling presumption that a black man is never victim, only perp. That's right. That is what this fool should be able to say. However, he's on his own, unprotected, and unsupported by anyone. Here we have a billionaire black man who can't keep his wife in check, keep the news of his exotic sex life out of the papers, and the police at bay. He is as powerless as any so-called underachieving or failing black man. Now, if he was a black man who understood the times he lived in, he would identify himself first and foremost as a black man who likes being a black man. That would earn him respect among righteous, clear-thinking black men who are the only black men capable of standing guard over a black man's best interests. But like any thug-blaming Uncle Tom, this fool wants to play down his blackness and claim every ethnicity except the African part. When you deny your own, your denials don't just reach the minds of those you deny. Your denials also penetrate the minds of those who are waiting for the first chance to take a nigger out. And it's only a matter of time before that day comes. You can count on that. They know that no one will speak out on your behalf, and they'll have fun lynching your misbegotten Uncle Tom ass, just as they're doing with Tiger Woods. There is no escaping the black male experience by claiming some virtue or quality that you think differentiates you from the rest of black men. We are all subject to the same system of control. Tiger Woods' experience is very instructive, because he's another misguided buffoon who was seduced by the adulation of whites to reject his own people and thought talent, money, and interracial marriage was a way out of the black experience. He was wrong. And if you think like him, you are wrong too. More later.
On that note, I shall also remind you of what happened with Henry Louis Gates. If anybody doesn't know who that is, well, first of all, research him. But a quick glancing at it, Henry Louis Gates was a man who, in Barack Obama's first term, close to the beginning of his first term, had a little run-in with the cops. This was before all the string of stuff with black men in the cops today, and before even Trayvon Martin. There was Henry Louis Gates. He is a Harvard professor, probably still is a Harvard professor. I think he went on vacation. When he came back, he was trying to get into his house, and him and his chauffeur, understand that now, chauffeur, what does that tell you? Him and his chauffeur was trying to get inside his own house. He couldn't get in. The neighbors decided to call the police. As to how the hell they did not realize who the hell that was, I don't know, but they decided to call the police. Okay. Police came, roughed him up a bit, and he's there trying to explain to a white cop and then actually to a black cop as well that this is his house. And instead of they actually go and research that shit and then go find out if he's telling the truth, they roughed him up and did whatever. I don't think they actually dragged him down to the station. They might have. I can't remember the story 100% clear, but I remember it like 95% clear. They roughed him up, and it made national headlines to the point where Barack Obama jumped in and said that the cops acted dumb, and then everybody went and, or maybe not even everybody, but the people behind him. Okay. Well, first of all, a lot of white people just went nuts. Oh my God, how can you say that about the cops? Cops went nuts as well, even though he was right to say what he said. I mean, it's the man's own house. He's claiming it's his own house. Go find out whose house it is. Oh, the title on the house, the deed on the house is Henry Louis Gates. Oh, look, Henry Louis Gates. I mean, how many Henry Louis Gates really live in that area where he lived? Anyway, so Barack Obama went and said something about it, and he pretty much had to go and backpedal damn near less than 24 hours later because everybody got on his ass. And ever since then, I've noticed, if nobody else, I've noticed that anytime something happens with black people now, and some imbecilic shit happens like that could have easily been verified and stuff could have easily been avoided, Barack Obama doesn't say anything. That's why all the stuff that's been going on with black people in the media, well, not in the media, but the cops, he hasn't said anything. Why? Because he got his hand slapped after he decided to stick up for black people after that Henry Louis Gates business, and so he realized, yo, you may be the president, but you are one little island of black in a sea of white, and we don't appreciate you talking less than favorably about our law enforcement. And it was nobody. I heard no Asians, Indians, anybody going off on him for standing up for Henry Louis Gates and condemning the cops' actions. It was only white. I went through all the forums. Only whites. News. Only white. It was crazy. So, yeah. Feel free to go research that little story. Or rather big story, even though it's old as hell. It's like, what, 7, 8 years old now. And see how it relates here. Henry Louis Gates, Harvard professor, had a chauffeur, so he's not exactly thug, pants sagging, pull up your jeans and whatever the fuck. No. Harvard professor, him and his chauffeur, and he was coming back from vacation, and yet this shit still happened. Now, what those cops did to him, I guarantee that shit wouldn't happen here in Potomac or Bethesda, Chevy Chase, in this rich, predominantly white area. I guarantee you it wouldn't happen. Why? Because I've been the observer of it not happening with my friend who lives in Potomac. His shit got stuck, and first of all, no cops were even called, at least the first time. The second time, cops were called, and they pretty much just said, sorry, there's nothing we can do, and then they left. No roughing up, no nothing. So, yeah. Anyway, let me get on this third video and then head to the gym.